Then these men went as a group and found Daniel praying and asking God for help. So they went to the king and spoke to him about his royal decree. Did you not publish a decree that during the next 30 days, anyone who prays to any god or human but except you, your majesty, would be thrown into the lion's den? The king answered, the decree stands, in accordance with the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be repealed. Then they said to the king, Daniel, who is one of the exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you, your majesty, or to the decree you put in writing. He still prays 3 times a day. When the king heard this, he was greatly distressed. He was determined to rescue Daniel and made every effort until sundown to save him. Then the men went as a group to King Darius and said to him, remember, your majesty, that according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, no decree or edict that the king issues can be changed. So the king gave the order. They brought Daniel and threw him into the lion's den. The king said to Daniel, may your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you. A stone was placed and put over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and the rings of his nobles, so that Daniel's situation might not be changed. Then the king returned to his palace and spent the night without eating and without any entertainment being brought to him, and he could not sleep. At the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. When he came near the den, he called to Daniel in an anguished voice, Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions? Daniel answered, may the king live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me because I was found innocent in his sight, nor have I ever done anything wrong before you, your majesty. The king was overjoyed and gave the orders to lift Daniel out of the den. And when Daniel was lifted out of the den, no wound was found on him because he had trusted in God. If we look at the life of Daniel, we can all agree that in the beginning of his story, he was stuck in a pretty terrible situation. His city was destroyed. He most likely watched his friends and family members killed right in front of him. He was taken captive. He was forced into a strange land. All titles and status was stripped from him. Essentially, David had become a blank slate and was pressured to conform to the new society. Wow. That sounds like a bad day. Now I will turn to you all. Have you ever gone through something that you didn't see coming? For Daniel, I am sure he wasn't like, I can't wait to become a slave today. Oh boy, this is going to be exciting. In my own life, I have experienced something that I did not see coming. A little backstory about me. I am a junior at Sewanee, the University of the South, and for the past 2 years, I played football up on the mountain for the Tigers. Now, at the time, I looked much different. I was 6'3", breaking the scale at about 300 pounds. During the last game of the season, an unfortunate accident occurred. I made a diving block on a defensive player, but unfortunately, I got kneed in the back and he folded on me the wrong way. I heard a large pop, and the numbness took over the bottom half of my body. It occurred to me, I had just broken my back. Now, I had not penciled into my schedule, I'm going to break my back today at 3 o'clock. I simply just fallen into a terrible situation.
That's funny.
This brings me to my first point. Are we going to be defined by what we go through or whom we belong to? That's deep. Sorry. Looking specifically at verse 13, we see that Daniel knows full well that King Darius has declared a law that directly goes against his core beliefs. However, rather than changing who he was, Daniel blatantly disregards the edict and continues to pray to his God, our God. Congregation, let's face it, it's hard to be a leader, especially when we're being persecuted. Heck, it seems that the bolder our message, the greater the opposition we tend to find. Right? This is what makes the story of Daniel so powerful. Daniel did not conform during confrontation. He stayed steadfast in his beliefs, for he knew this overwhelming circumstance was not too much for our God, the creator of the universe. Looking at verse 16, we say that on the next day, Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. My question to you, church, is the following. Was Daniel scared? Was he? I mean, no text I have found backs up any idea of worried or doubtful thoughts. No worried or doubtful thoughts. Now that is a questionable behavior for a man that's facing imminent death. Personally, I don't believe Daniel was worried, for Daniel knew the scriptures well. I'm sure he had heard God's promises made in places like Joshua 1:9. The Lord speaks, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go."
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Therefore, ultimately for Daniel, no matter how alone we feel amidst all of our trials and tribulations, we are never alone with God. I believe Daniel knew these truths as he entered the lion's den, and therefore he was confident God would provide a miracle. Indeed, in verse 21, we see that Daniel had miraculously survived the lion's den without the slightest scratch. This situation seems unexplainable, almost impossible, because lions are hungry. But it is actually quite simple when the scenario is analyzed closely. Daniel took a stand for God. Daniel believed that God can do great things. Therefore, God worked an amazing miracle through Daniel's life. God had sent an angel to shut the mouths of the lions.
Yeah.
What an amazing testimony. A testimony that transformed King Darius' heart and inspired him to write the following declaration the next day. Then King Darius wrote, verse 25, "To all the nations and peoples of every language in all the earth, may you prosper greatly.
Yeah.
I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed. His dominion will never end. He rescues and saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions." Wow. One man's stand impacted a nation.
Yeah.
That's powerful. To tie into my opening story, God has turned my terrible situation into an abundant blessing. I realized that an athletic organization such as football does not define me. Instead, my God is now the one I seek my firm foundation in.
Yes, sir.
Breaking my back actually allowed God to open countless doors to spread the good news, and has led me to discover an amazing community on Swanee of believers that would not have been possible without playing a time-demanding sport. While playing a time-demanding sport. Church, today I'll offer encouragement to you.
Yes.
I believe I'm in a room full of believers ready to make a difference.
Yeah.
A difference to change our nation. Let us stop obsessing over what the world thinks and let's start obsessing over God. Let us not forget the final verse of Daniel chapter 6. Verse 28 reads, "So Daniel prospered
Yeah.
during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian." Brothers and sisters, let's all prosper together. Go in peace. Thank you.